Very impressed, first impressions. Place looks immaculate. Otter fencing all round. I've had a good walk round the lake to choose my peg. I haven't seen one bit of litter. Really does look lovely. I say otter fencing. Nice flat car park, porta toilet, everything you want. Let's get cracking. That's the view from the swim. Peg 6, that's the one I chose. This is the swim. Whenever I arrive at a new water, obviously I haven't got a clue what's underneath the surface, so the first job of the day is to have a good plumb around and see what's what. When I'm plumbing around, that's my weight of choice. It's one of those sea weights, it's got spikes protruding. That way I know if I'm going to snag on anything. Morning troops, here we are, another 48-hour session, day ticket lake. It's called Skylark Lakes in Cambridgeshire. Never fished it before, so didn't dive straight in, had a good walk around the lake. And I know some places you can't. Some places when you book, especially when these new ones, you have to book online, you have to book a specific peg. But here you don't, you just book on and then choose the peg you want. So I've had a good walk around. I've chosen a peg I think looks good. I've got feature to the left of me, feature to the right to me, and open water. There was a couple of other swims that I looked at. I've gone with this one, and got 3 rods out, margin rod, 2 rods out. I haven't put any freebies out yet. All my baits are out with just the PVA mesh. Got to air dry me boilies, put a few freebies out in an hour or two if I don't get an instant hit. And it's an immaculate looking lake. I mean, first impressions, it's really great. It looks good. There's not a single bit of litter. Otter fence all the way around. Well maintained. Let's see if we can catch some fish out of here. So yeah, let me show you the swim. That's the lake. Gloriously looking, beautiful day. Three rods. Left arm rod is my margin rod. I'm not expecting anything from it at all. I'm just going to trickle some bait in there slowly for the night time, and it's just there. That's my margin rig, multi-rig. So it's popped up 2 inches off the deck, held down by a split shot. Stiff hook link, stripped back, so it forms a boon, and a very long anti-tangle rig sleeve there. That way everything gets kicked away from the inline lead. Above that we have tungsten tubing. Inline lead, the stem's been removed. stem's been removed. There's a cut down rig sleeve I use, and it's held on very, very, very gently. It comes off straight away. And the idea of that being is, if I hook a fish, it tries to use the weight of the lead to eject the hook. When it shakes its head, the inline lead comes loose, works its way up. That way it can't use the weight of the hook tank for anti-ejection purposes. Very effective, but that's how you set up your inline. If you're going to fish inline, and you're worried about tangles, you need to have a very long rig sleeve. It's like a boon almost, kicks that well out of the way. And then on your hook with your PVA mesh bag, that also counterweights and helps it virtually tangle free. I find the only time I get any tangles is when I'm fishing with a rig ring on my blowback rigs, and that's the hair spins around, but that's on the retrieval. On the cast, nothing. So that's going to be my margin swip, that's going to be my margin rig for today. That's how it sits in the water. That little tree in the centre of the picture, the left hand rod is dead in line with that. That quarter of the way across, so it's not, it's not that far. 30, 40, maybe 50 metres at the most. And there's a setup for my bottom bait. Blowback rig. Stiff hook link. Again, the extra long rig sleeve that acts as a boon to kick it away from the inline lead. The inline lead's exactly the same setup as before. Everything's very loose. Stem taken out. Cut down rig sleeve used to hold the swivel in place. All very loosely on. If you're worried about it being tight and it not running up the line when the fish is shaking its head, sometimes I coat it with a little bit of silicone. A lot of the match anglers use for their pole elastics. So everything's loose, it all comes apart. And there's my hook lengths of choice. I use that. As the bottom is different, multicoloured like this one, that's it, the Hameleon. This is camouflage. It's a brown bottom, that's my go-to. And if it's a bit of a weedy bit with a green bottom, that's my hook link of choice. All stiff links, but obviously you can strip them back as much as you like. And my right hand rod is in line with that the tree to the right. Same distance, both bottom baits. Left hand rod, pelican squid, right hand rod, pro sushi. There's the final rig out again. Bottom bait, blowback rig. I don't go out about spending 20 quid on 10 hooks that I have to sharpen myself. Mosquito angling hooks, whatever pattern I use, barbless, micro barbed, whether I'm carp fishing, cat fishing or for pike, they never let me down. Again, stiff hook link, stripped back so there's a bit of movement in the final inch of the rig. Again, extra long rig sleeve, kicks that out away from the inline lead, never get tangled. We've got PVA mesh on there. When I cast it out, that kicks out even more. Guaranteed tangle free. So yeah, it's a lovely swim. I think it's a lovely swim. This right hand side of us, I've had a good, when you arrive at a new land you have a good plumb around, because I've had this right hand side I was going to put my margin rod, but See where them green shoots are? Just about there. Running out to more or less here. It's a reed bed. You go beyond it, it's alright, but it's clear. Yeah, there's a reed bed there. And every time I reeled in from there with me plumbing gear, me weight really hooked up solid, really had to pull through the weed there. So there's a bank of weed there. So where that green shoot is runs out, I don't know, 30-40 foot. So if I get any fish on and they go out that way, I've got to keep them up high. When they get close in, get them over that weed bed. This side, nice and clear. Plumbed it all, nothing there to disturb me. Let's see what the day brings. Evening troops. Well, we've started fishing about 11 o'clock. Took me a while. This lake you book on 9 AM, but by the time I'd had a good look around, family swim, transported all the gear, had a chat with a bailiff. When you're tackling a new venue, you've got to explore your options. So I had a good plumb around, saw what was around on the bottom, mid-water, etc., depths. Got all that done, happy with the rod placements, and we started fishing about 11 o'clock. Now it's still spring. I mean, the carp can get their heads down and start munching this time of year. The decision was made, single hook baits, small PVA mesh bags. They went out on 3 different spots. No instant hit, there was nothing around, so after a couple of hours I spommed a load of freebies out, boilies. Now there's 2 ways, as far as I'm concerned, to introduce your bait. Now, do you want it concentrated in one spot, or do you want a blanket loose feed all around your traps? So first of all, I don't use a spod, I use a spom, and I put a load of boilies out to match the hook baits on 3 different spots. Of course, the margin one I could just throw them in by hand. And I've seen the first fish crash out in my swim just now. So hopefully that's a good sign. Yeah, so I concentrated a load of freebies matching the hook baits around my hook baits with a spom. After another hour or two, there's still no joy. What I've done is my second type of bait application is like a blanket wide perimeter, and for that I use a catapult. So I've catapulted a load of boilies out now, so I've got half a kilo to a kilo of freebies on each spot, and that's me settled now for the night. I won't introduce any more loose feed. If I don't have any touches tonight, at the cooler freezer bag I shall get me maize and stuff and defrost that and introduce some more bait tomorrow morning. But I'm quite happy. I've got 3 spots baited, hook baits out. As I say, it is the evening now, so another hour or so just before it gets dark I shall reel in the rods, fresh hook baits on. I like boosted glugged baits. I don't, you know, some people go for the washed out, especially when the pressured waters, washed out boilies can do the trick. But I'm going to go with my boosted. So 7:30, 8 o'clock-ish, I shall bring all 3 rods in one at a time. New boosted bait, new PVA mesh, bang on the same spots, and then see what the evening brings. But at the moment I haven't had a touch, but it's a lovely lake. Got the whole lake to myself. I've only seen 2 carp crash out at the moment. One right over the left hand side far bank where the wind's blowing into. Saw a fish crash there out in the margins, and now I've just had one crash out over my spot. So hopefully we'll see a bit of action. It's April, so you're not over the bad weather already. It's not summer yet, and tonight's forecast is possible frost, so all depending on the cloud cover. I mean, I've got a bit of cloud cover here. I'm hoping that it stays that way and I'm frost free. Otherwise, it could put the fish down a bit of frost. But I'd say it's been a lovely day. When the sun's out, it's been quite warm. The wind's cold. You can feel the cold in the wind. So that's my baiting application on tackling a new venue. Now, obviously, if you go into a venue where you know the lie of the land, you know the way the fish feed, you know how they feed, you know when to introduce, what to introduce, it's a different ball game. But when you're tackling a new venue, you can either go softly at the start, because once you put the bait in you can't take it out, and if you're fishing a place that don't like a lot of bait and you introduce a load first off, it could be counterproductive. I don't think this is the case here. As I say, it's still spring. They ain't got their heads down and they're not munching yet full on, but at the same token, if you get a few fish in your swim, they'll soon go through your bait. So it's a fine balance. It's one of those things you've got to play by ear. But we're all ready to go. So I've got my 3 rods out, baited up. Let's see what the evening brings. Troops. Yeah, so that's the first night, 24 hours almost over. One fish during the night. low double. Oh, I assume it's a low double, I didn't weigh it. Mirror, 3 AM on the right hand rod on the Pro Sushi. Had a few liners, but nothing else. So the one run, 3 o'clock, small mirror. Very mild last night. The predicted frost didn't materialise. There's plenty of cloud cover. You know, come 11 o'clock, midnight, blanket cloud. So yeah, it's kept the temperature pretty mild. No dew, no morning dew, so it's nice and dry. No condensation. It's perfect night, really. I was surprised. I think, you know, didn't get more runs. I had the one run, 3 AM, small mirror, and then that was it. I've been up nice and early. I mean, it's light at 5 now, isn't it? So I was up on the water, first light. Put some more loose feed in, having a look around, seeing if I could see any fish moving. If I'd seen fish moving, or I would have upped sticks and moved. You know, if you're on a day ticket water and you've got limited time and you've got a lake to yourself and you see fish moving and you see activity, get on them. Pack up your gear, get round there lively. But nothing. So I'm up nice and early, looking at the water, scanning the water, keeping my eyes peeled, see if I can see anything. So we've had one fish now, hopefully more will move in and find that bait, and then we can fill our boots. As you can see, it's nice and calm there now. Plenty of cloud cover, overcast, pleasant mild morning. As I say, we had the one fish during the night. Hopefully they'll get their heads down and feed. It really is a lovely looking lake here. Let's see what the day brings. Well, 24 hours in now, troops. I've decided to change tack a little bit. Your margin rod, I've taken the peaches and cream pop-up off, put bottom bait on MPT1, my winter bait from Nutritional Bait Development. So, and I've been feeding that spot ever since I've been there, you know, trickling in the freebies. So I thought I might as well have a matching hook bait to go with it. Also put a big bed of corn down there, well, maize. Big bed of maize down there now as well. So I'm going to leave that margin rod there. Unless I see a showing fish, I'll cast any showing fish with that spare rod. And I've been very sparse with the bait so far because it's spring and it was due to be a frosty night, but the frost didn't materialise. Clouded over about midnight, as I said earlier, and I was in two minds, you know, stick or bust. So I've gone for it. So what I've done is I've introduced a kilo of boilies, matching hook baits on each spot, and a kilo of maize over each spot. So I've put a lot of bait out there now, and let's hope that gets them going, gets their heads down, gets them feeding. So it's the normal approach: bottom baits, 18mm PVA mesh filled with crushed boilies, pellet and ground bait with a slight oil mixture, get it all cloudy, and boosted hook baits as always. Boosted hook baits, freebies matching them. So there's plenty of bait out there now. As I have one during the night. Was it a solitary fish? Looks like it, but that's one I thought, sod it, let's get the bait out there. You only got a certain amount of time on the bank, so I'm the only one on the lake. There's no other bait going in, so I've got got a big bed of bait out there now. I'm fishing over the top of it. The traps are set. Let's see if we can catch something. Well, I've tried everything today, and I'm just sitting there pondering. I mean, I've tried everything, up in the water, down in the water, different baits, different hook patterns, everything. I've tried loads of different things, swapping around all over the place, and sometimes you got to sit back and relax. If the rigs you're using the work, and you trust your bait, you trust your rigs, you trust what you're doing. Sometimes if the fish are not having it, it's best just to sit there, set your traps and wait. And that's what I've decided to do. I've got, as I say, I've been trying all sorts. Nothing's worked, and I haven't had a single run today. And I just had my dinner just now, and I was setting up me cooking stuff to clean it, everything, and then I thought to myself, I was thinking about, right, what am I going to do with that left hand rod, what am I going to do with that right hand rod, what am I going to do? And I thought, hang on, calm down. Sometimes it is better just to sit back, take a pause. If you trust your bait, if you trust your rigs, you know what you're doing, sometimes it's best just to leave it. And that's what I'm doing. I mean, look at that lake behind me, it's beautiful, isn't it? So yeah, I've been trying all sorts and it hasn't worked. It's 5 o'clock in the evening. I've got tonight, I've got to be off the water at 9 AM. It's a 9 AM turnaround, this lake, so I've got to be off 9 AM tomorrow. So I thought, no, just stop and smell the coffee. I know my rigs are good, I know my presentation's good, I know the bait's good. If the fish are there, they'll have it. If they're not, they won't. So I'm quite mellow, quite relaxed, and still confident I'll catch. I mean, I caught last night, maybe I'll catch again tonight, so that's what I'm hoping for. No problem is I can't video at night, so I'm trying to wangle up a setup with one of my torches to see if it can shine on me, but I don't know, but I'm going to give it a go tonight. If I catch anything, I'll see if I can film the unhooking and away and etc. But yeah, sometimes you just got to sit back, relax and say, I know what I'm doing, I know what I'm doing works, just got to trust in it. Completely different evening from yesterday, plenty of cloud cover. I was blinded by the sun yesterday evening. It's almost dark now. Been a long hard day, as is expected sometimes on new venues. You know, you can't turn up everywhere and crack it straight away. Look at the otter fence behind me, really good job that. Yeah, so we're got all our rods in position. Trying to put a positive spin on it, but you know, it's a new lake, so if you're tackling a new venue, it can take a while to get used to the patrol routes, the feeding patterns, all sorts of things affect your catch rate on a new venue. But you know, got my rods in position. They've been there. I've set my traps early, and I'm quite happy with my position, my rigs and everything, so I'm just gonna leave them where they are and hope the traps work. You know, what's worked in the past should work now, but you never can tell. Yeah, so it's sun was splitting the trees yesterday, and now it's overcast. Hopefully temperature won't drop too much. So my left hand rod's back in the margins, my margin rod, I've put that in there. I've got 2 bits of maize on, put a load of freebies out, so fishing with glugged maize over a bed of maize. So I'm just hoping something is patrolling their margins tonight, and woof. And my middle rod, again, my boosted baits, Pelican, squid, bottom baits. I've got 2 on, one 18mm, one 10mm. You can tell I'm desperate for a fish. I've been trying all sorts today, but it's like a bottom snowman rig. It's quite effective. You know, it's fish with a PVA mesh bag, and when all the bits break down, hopefully it just looks like the rest of the bag mix. You know, crumbled boilies, broken bits of boilies. I got 2 little, one big boilie, one little boilie. It's boosted to try and get the fish to hone in on it. Maybe that works, maybe it don't, I don't know. And on the right hand rod is me Pro Sushi. And there's base camp. I'll show you the swim again. Yeah, so it's, you know, it's all go. Everything's in there. Just hoping for a run. So it's almost dark, and I'll get the old head torch out soon, but I'll spin this around and show you the swim again one more time. It really is a lovely lake, you know. It's a shame we didn't crack it. You never know though, it's early. Mr. Positive, you know what I mean? I've got till 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, so got 13 hours to catch a couple of fish. Cover my stills camera up with a woolly hat and a plastic bag, keep it warm and dry. Put my unhooking station. Multi-rod, so you always use 2 landing nets just in case you get a double take. He says, tongue firmly in cheek. Yeah, so I mean, it's lovely. Just needed a few fish to grace the bank, but hopefully tonight, you never know. Wake up call. I think I might have got the older filming at night sorted. Not what I was expecting. Look at the size of that bream. Look at it. Don't get a nickname dustbin lid for nothing, do they? That's a lovely fish. Shame I'm not fishing for bream on the fens. Morning troops. Last couple of hours now, it's 6:30. Packed away the bivvy. It's the only problem with the 9 AM turnaround, that's the only snag here. Next time I'll book on for the extra day, and then that way I'll don't take my time packing up. But I don't mind, there was no heavy dew or anything, so bivvy and the overwrap were lovely and dry, so it wasn't a hassle. It's just it looks great, doesn't it? It looks fishy. And I'm gonna be going home in 2 hours. Yeah, so you know, the night, 3 runs, all within the space of 10 minutes. I had a run on my right hand rod, 1 AM. Got out a bit lively. Nothing. It run, whatever it was, I don't know. I got a sneaky feeling when you find out what I had on the second rod. Well, you've probably seen the pictures already. So yeah, so wound in, just baiting up. Middle rod roars off, not roar off, but you know it went off. So boom in. I find this is either very, very small or it's a dustbin, and it was a dustbin lid. But it was a nice bream. I mean, don't get me wrong, if I was fishing the rivers or the drains for bream, I'd have been happy with it, you know. £8 2 ounces, so you know, it was wasn't huge for like a gravel pit bream or anything, but you know, it was a nice fish. So I thought, so photographed it, managed to shoot a bit of video. I've worked it out now. I need a backdrop, and I can, if I shine my torch onto myself, then it lights up the backdrop as well, and then I can get usable footage. So sometimes out on the rivers when I've been piking and stuff, and so many other places, featureless. So you've got nothing to bounce the light off. So, but yeah, so I got a bit of footage last night. It's a shame. If I'd realised, I would have got footage the night before with the mirror, but still, it's a learning curve for me. So I was quite happy with that. Sorted out the lighting situation. So yeah, we had a bream, £8. I thought, alright, bait up and get that out. As I was baiting up, the left hand margin rod went off. Didn't roar off either, so I got a funny, sneaky feeling all 3 were bream. All 3 rods were bream. I got a funny feeling, but you don't know, do you? I mean, the middle one I hooked and it was a bream. The other 2, I mean, my rigs are pretty good, you know. If a carp picks up that bait, it's getting hooked really. So I reckon stuff big enough to get their mouth around the boilie, but too small to suck it right in and get hooked in the, well, all mine get hooked in the bottom lip. So, but yeah, so between 1 and 1:30 I was up and down, out in it, back, casting out, got all 3 baits out again, and nothing the rest of the night. So I got up bright and early this morning, rebaited my rods, fresh baits, put them back out on the same spots again, and they were out at 5 o'clock. And I'm just hoping for a fish before I go. Let's have a look at this lake, because it looks lovely this morning. Look at that, calm as anything. Now if I was here, this was just my first morning and it was as calm as this, and I could see fish activity, fish movement, I'd have packed up all my gear and barrowed round to the swim where they're at. But look at it, it's lovely. Yeah, so this is Skylark Fisheries in Cambridgeshire. £25 for 24 hours. There's 3 rods. 9 AM to 9 AM or 9 PM to 9 PM. So it's, you know, it's an early or late turnaround. As I say, next time if I book on, I shall do me 48. I'll book the extra day till 9 PM rather than 9 AM. Give me plenty of time to pack up. And I chose this swim out of all the others. And I didn't know, I was talking to the bailiff, really nice guy. If you're here, he's really helpful, tries to put you on the fish, tries to give you as much information as possible. This never used to be a swim. This has all been cut out and done recently, so maybe the fish are not used to patrolling here, but There's plenty out there. You know, I've heard them crashing in the night, either to the right of me or to the left of me. So they do visit this side of the lake. Maybe they're not visiting here because of the recent disturbance, I don't know, but got to try and find an excuse for no, so I mean, it's my first visit to the water. I've had one carp and one bream. I haven't blanked, learnt a few things, sussed out a few features in this swim. Maybe next time I'll fish somewhere else, but yeah, I'm quite pleased with me 48 hours here, even though it didn't result in fish on the bank like we'd like. It is a lovely fishery.